Good morning, everyone. I'm going to give maybe 2 minutes or so to allow additional people into the meeting, and then we'll get started. I did want to let you know this is being recorded and transcribed, so feel free to have your camera off and mic muted if you so choose. And the transcription will be available upon request. However, the recording will be on the YouTube page, and I'll send that out once it's been uploaded, most likely tomorrow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Jimmy Flynn.
Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
Okay, it's 10:02, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, quick reminder, if you just joined us, that this will be recorded, and so feel free to be off camera. Feel free to stay muted unless you have questions. We will have this recording uploaded to our YouTube page, and the transcription will be available upon request. At the end of the information that we want to give you, you'll be free to ask questions as well. So this is a very informal presentation. I don't have slides or anything like that. I really just want to say, first of all, congratulations on being a fiscal year 25 grant recipient of the Maryland Energy Administration's Energy Efficiency Equity Program. I know that the process takes a little while to get through, and you're chomping at the bit to get started. So I'm very excited to welcome you to the program. I also wanted to introduce you to all of our team members. And my name, of course, is Angel Sauls. I am the program manager for Energy Efficiency Equity. I also have on the call with me Sean Stewart, and he can say hello now. Please, Sean. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Probably have seen me from some of the emails coming from the inbox if you've been a previous grantee, but I'm so excited to kind of meet all of you, maybe put some faces to some email addresses. So just happy to be on the call, and yeah, excited that you all are this year's grantees and looking forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And then also on the call is our major support partner doing our technical assistance, Newport Partners. And I'll let them introduce themselves in a second. But what's important about what they do for us is they help us do an amazing amount of tracking to give us some metrics on how the program is performing so we can keep these monies flowing. So that's really important. And then they provide a ton of help in the monthly reporting that you all are responsible for. They provide assistance. Really, they created the process and also provide a tremendous amount of assistance in making sure that everything gets done correctly. So we're reporting real numbers. And I will let you guys go in whatever order you'd like to, but if you could just say hi, Newport Partners.
Hi, everybody. My name is Evan Resnick. I am primarily responsible for developing and maintaining essentially any Excel spreadsheet that you see related to the program, including the application that you all have submitted several months ago, as well as the monthly reporting attachment, which you all will be starting to submit over the coming many months. Rebecca?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Stodgel. I work with the monthly invoices on a regular. So I review your submissions every month. So I appreciate everything that you guys are doing and look forward to working with you throughout the fiscal year.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. And so I really wanted to, after that, say overall, when in doubt, check your grant agreement. So the grant agreement is made up of several parts. There's a 4-page document that just says what the responsibility of MEA and also the grantee, what their responsibilities are. And the grant period is also listed in there, and the grant amount is listed in there. And then after that, you're going to find a page about the purpose of the program. And then after that, the purpose of your specific grant in the program, whether that be residential, a specific building, commercial, those are also listed in there. And if you're a returning grantee, you'll notice that there's a difference in that portion of the grant agreement now. We are really working toward streamlining our processes, making them easier to duplicate each fiscal year, and then also make it easier in terms of changes to scopes of work and adding buildings and those kind of things. You're also going to find the general provisions. It's really important that you read the general provisions. That hasn't changed over the last couple years. If you're a new grantee, it's important you understand what that says. And then the funding opportunity announcement, of course, was presented as you submitted your applications. And that's also going to have certain requirements that are applicable throughout the grant period. So you really want to hone in and essentially memorize that document. And then after that is a sample of what the Excel spreadsheet that they mentioned is going to look like. There's screenshots of that so that you can see what the reporting looks like. Now, at this point, you've received your email explaining that you can start work that had your September monthly reporting attachment, or MRA, attached to that email. And so you have it to look at, to study, to look through now. Also, on our YouTube page is a training video on how to use that monthly reporting attachment and how to properly fill it out. That is really important in terms of getting paid on time. We're going to be, if you're a returning grantee, a little more strict than you may remember, and sending those back if there are errors, which is going to hold up not only getting paid for that current month, but getting your next month's monthly reporting attachment. So I'll come back to that in a little while. And then also in that email that you received explaining that it's okay to start your grant, you received the Maryland Historical Trust waiver. And so if there's a blanket waiver, if you're doing a bunch of residential properties, if you're doing commercial buildings, they're a little more detailed. That is important so that you know what you should and should not be, or I should say should not be doing if the home is historic. If you have questions about that, please reach out. And if you want to add buildings, if you are a commercial grant recipient, then you will need to contact us to get a waiver for whatever the new building is, if applicable, of course. Okay, so those are all your attachments. Also in there are some instructions on additional documentation that needs to be turned in. So these are things like the certificate of insurance, naming Maryland Energy Administration as the additionally insured. That's really important to turn in on behalf of your contractors that you have a relationship with. They need to have a COI, Certificate of Insurance, naming Maryland Energy Administration as the additionally insured, and our address information is in our email signature, and you can just use that to get that over to us. Then there are things like certifications, business licenses, things like that. So just pay attention to that email. Within 30 days, please go ahead and start turning in your materials. And then throughout the grant cycle, so I was going to come back to the monthly reporting attachment. Your grant cycle is 2 years long, and the monthly reporting attachment is how you submit invoices. I think what gets lost with grant recipients is that there is one spreadsheet that we are passing back and forth to one another. So you have September. If you have work you did in August that you are invoicing in September, we download what you send us. We calculate the energy savings and the monies that you're invoicing for. We check all of the supporting documentation that you turn in. We process that. It goes through our financial system. And then we will turn it around or flip the monthly reporting attachment to the following month, to October. And then we'll send that same spreadsheet that now has a historical record of September's invoices on it. You'll see it as October, and then you'll fill it out for the next month once you've completed work in September that you're invoicing in October. So I hope that's clear. We're sending one spreadsheet back and forth. The reason that's important is because if you download, save it as something else, make edits, and turn it in late or turn it in differently, it now no longer has the historical information throughout the entire grant period on that monthly reporting attachment. So it is important that you send me back what I send you. And if there is a delay, you need to store that information somewhere and wait till you get your new reporting attachment from us. So I want to talk about the timing on that. Each month by the 10th, you are submitting the work that you completed in the previous month. So September 10th, all your September MRAs would be due for work you completed in August. We have 30 days to turn it around to you. So usually I'm processing all invoices by the end of the month, by September 30th. And then within the first week of the following month, you're getting the new attachment. Processing wise on our end right now, that's the time block. That's what makes the most sense for us. I know that could get frustrating if you've completed work earlier on and you're just kind of sitting waiting to receive your attachment. Please find a way to store that information and wait until you get the new attachment from us before you start filling things out and send it back. Because again, that's going to disrupt the fact that we're sending one spreadsheet back and forth to one another. As we work on process improvement, maybe this process gets a little easier or faster, or once we have authority to have an additional person completing the invoice, we can turn things around a little faster and get you your monthly reporting attachment by the end of the month instead of the beginning of the month is due. But right now, that's the timing on that. So please just be cognizant of you'll get it the first week of the month it's actually due, and it'll be due by the 10th. Okay. I think that in terms of support throughout the program cycle, which again is 2 years, we will do quarterly check-ins. I'm sorry, not quarterly, 6-month check-ins. So you're going to get 2 check-ins per year, essentially. And that will just be a discussion on where you are in your grant process. How are you doing with spending through the money? Is there any challenge that you're needing assistance with? Do you anticipate, completing things, spending out all the money, completing them on time? So it's really just a check-in on your progress to see where you're at with everything. If you need help outside of those check-ins, of course, we are available by phone and by email. Email's faster because one thing about MEA is we love meetings. So we're always in a meeting. But you can feel free to call, leave a voicemail for Sean or for myself, or an email, of course, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So support is available throughout the fiscal year, but we'll definitely have those 6-month check-ins. We also have a quality assurance process. So there is paper quality control that Newport helps us with. And then there will be periodic remote and in-person looks at the actual job, which is also, we have the assistance of Newport for. And this is just so that we're, checking in, making sure that things are being done, properly, installs are there, making sure we're holding people accountable to the money that we're offering to do this work. Our most important part of this process is servicing the residents of Maryland. So we just want to make sure all this is being done well. And, we haven't had issues thus far. So we're just grateful that people take spending this money seriously. And we're going to ensure that that continues. I had mentioned for previous grantees, the grant agreement looks different than it has in past years. And a part of that is the way we worded your scope of work within the grant agreement. And that will allow for some flexibility in making changes. So I do want to talk about exceptions and changes to your scope of work. If you're doing a job that doesn't explicitly fit within the guidelines that are set forth in your grant agreement, which again includes all those components I listed out earlier on, then you can send an email. It's important that it's in writing with a request for an exception to get the work done. Of course, there's going to be questions about, why this needs to be done, some proof of that reasoning, pictures, explanation from a contractor, measurements, whatever's the case, and then what the energy savings or benefit to the resident is by granting this exception. And they are, to be quite honest with you, at the discretion of the agency. So Sean and I, essentially, and we will reply by email with that exception. And we do keep a record of that. So we need to, we print that email and save it in your file. We send that over to Newport as well, so they can be aware that when that monthly reporting attachment comes over with supporting docs, that exception was actually granted by MEA. So that's how that process will work, throughout the grant period. As we near the end of the grant cycle, which again, you get 2 years to spend this money. If we have that last check-in, which will likely happen early spring, I would say, of the year your grant is ending, and you need a little more time to get everything in, we can very easily grant a 60-day extension with just an email request to get that extension. Now, I am not encouraging you to take too long because we have closeout processes that are important, and we want to get those final numbers reported, and there's a whole lot of work that goes into closing down the grant cycle and having real numbers to report because they influence how we do things the next cycle. So I'm not encouraging you to take too long. What I am saying is 60 days can be granted without a bunch of extra paperwork and waiting times and waiting for signatures and all those things. 60 days with just an email request. Again, it's at our discretion whether or not we grant it, but that's the easiest thing to do. If it's going to be longer than that, and this is, it gets pretty common in the space of commercial work. But if it's going to take longer than that, you have a very clear path to spend out the rest of the money. You're pretty solid on, I can do this in, 3 or 4 months or 6 months. Then you can make that request, but we do have to do an actual amendment, which is a grant extension paperwork that gets internally signed, and then you all will have to sign it as well. So that's a little bit longer of a process. We'll let you know if we expect for it to be granted, but technically you need to wait till that paperwork is fully executed before you bank on the fact that you have that extra time. As a program, we have decided that we're going to be a way more strict in granting extensions that extend past December 31st of the year your grant ends. So let's say your grant ends in August, your last MRA is submitted September 1st, and you tell me you need more time. Most times we're going to say you have until December 31st. And again, it's because that holds up our entire closeout process in terms of making sure the grant has ended. We have all of our tracking numbers that we're reporting to the powers that be, and we can officially close everything out. So just keep that in mind in your planning process, what the timing is on that. Again, extensions are not guaranteed. Amendments the same way. If you need to amend your scope of work, add a building, take away a building and exchange it for something else, amendments are at the discretion of the agency, and there will be, there is the potential for there to be extra paperwork. In your grant agreement, it does leave some room to be able to add buildings without paperwork, and we'll do our best to do that just because it takes a while to get things pushed through. But there will be amendment paperwork that has to be executed for that when there's a change to the scope of work. In terms of the submission for amendments, we're creating a process where you will go to the web page, you will submit a form through our web page that notifies us of what you're requesting. And then there'll be some requests for supporting documentation. And that way we have a very clear record, which again gets uploaded into files, and we have a record of everything in case we're always audited every few years. But for when that comes up, we have to have a paper trail of everything, which is why emails are better than calls, unless you just need an immediate answer for something. Let's see, that's all of the talking to through your grant agreement, through your MRAs, through changes, let me get this person, and then check-ins, of course, and then the support. Oh, I did want to say, if for the monthly reporting attachment, if the training online is insufficient for you feeling confident that you can properly submit this information, you can schedule a separate appointment with either Sean or I, and if we cannot help, then Newport has offered their assistance as well in the form of a training appointment with them. So we just, when in doubt, just schedule the appointment. The other thing I wanted to mention just escaped me. So I'll have to come back to that when it comes back to mine. Sean, am I missing anything that you can think of that's pertinent to mention on the welcome call?
No, I don't think so. I think that kind of really covered everything. I think you kind of hit our bases on things that we really want our grantees to understand. So yeah, good to go.
Pretty good. Newport, can you think of anything?
Nothing comes to mind on our end, but we do seem to have some questions in the chat.
Great. Okay, so I'm getting a question. Can you discuss serving homes with multiple funding rounds? Yes. So we have a lot of returning grantees. And well, first, let me back up. We release a new grant every year, a new grant application every single year. So fiscal year 26 is going to be released. Our hope is at the end of this month. And we want for 27. And again, I mentioned you have 2 years to spend the money. So there's overlap. You can, if you have a list of homes, you can continually be spending. So there's no gaps in you waiting for the next round of funding while you service homes. What is important about that is that different fiscal years can have different rules. So there were some pretty significant changes from 23, for instance, to 24. And you would want to make sure whatever funding you're using is following the rule of that fiscal year. And then again, if you want to have an exception, that you email and request the exception based on the fiscal year's rules that you're using for that amount of funding. There is something I want to ask Newport to quickly talk about. So you can do that. And then once you're done with that fiscal year and you're into the new one, just make sure the homes you're serving are following the rules for that particular fiscal year. We are, for 26, it is my hope that everyone comes back and applies again. We are creating more flexibility. So we hope that from 25 to 26, there's going to be, it's going to be easier to be transitioning using those funds. But just make sure you're following the rule for the fiscal year's funds that you're using. Does that answer your question, or did you want to, and let me restate, can we serve the same home with multiple rounds of funds if the return on investment is still there? As long as you're remaining within the cap per home, I can't see an issue with that. So there's a cap per home. It's going to be a little tricky, Newport, I guess, because there'll be an address that shows up on one fiscal year, and that address, it sounds like you're saying, is going to end up on the next fiscal year's report as well. But as long as we have notations for that, that is fine to me. Okay. And then in terms of the YouTube videos, I'll put a link right now in this chat, but it is my intention to send an email once this video has been uploaded, where you can see all of the videos that are available, and that will allow you to watch anything that you need to watch. So I'm going to place it now, but you'll also get an email with the links so that you can watch them throughout the grant period. Again, we're accessible, so you don't have to feel like the YouTube is your only resource. Your first thing to do is reach your grant agreement. And then after that, if that's not answering you, please do reach out to us. And the support is the check-ins and the videos that are on YouTube. Okay. So let's just go right into continuing to answer questions if I haven't left anything out. Is there a limit to the invoices we can submit on the MRA? Will multiple invoices cause issues with tracking on MEA side. So there isn't, the limitation is just the number of lines that are on your monthly reporting attachment. Maybe it's 50 lines or something like that. If you need more than that to list out more addresses, let's say you're doing a multifamily or something like that, let us know in advance, and then we can have Newport amend your monthly reporting attachment to accommodate more space for those lines. So that's for the space where you are putting each home and what that home has installed. There is also a tab where you're entering just like the number of heat pumps you put in and those measurements, or the number of homes you put in the insulation in and what those measurements are. And so it's not specific to the address on the other tab. If you need more space on that, you absolutely need to be letting us know in advance. And that way we're capturing all the energy savings because we have to prove the program's cost effective. So we have to make sure we're capturing all of the energy savings that are available on that tab. So yes, we can accommodate making more space if you need it. Advance notice is required for that. Okay. Anybody else? And you don't have to only chat. You can raise a hand and come off mute if you like. If you have additional questions, I know we have a pretty great amount of new awardees, which I'm really excited about. Thank you for applying. And if you all have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat or come off mute. Give it a few more minutes. Okay. If you can't think of anything now, of course, reach out. We'll get back to you as quickly as possible. If there isn't anything else, I will let us go a little early and, make sure to send this out by tomorrow when the video has been uploaded with links to the YouTube channel and playlists. And happy spending. Great. Okay. Well, thank you all for attending. Again, welcome to Fiscal Year 25, and we will talk to you soon. See ya.